Anti-hero protagonists. In the world of GTA, you're not exactly playing as Captain America. The main characters in these games are more like the guy Cap would probably arrest. Take Nico Bellic from GTA 4, for instance. This dude's got a past darker than a black hole, but he's still our guy. These protagonists usually have a moral compass. It's just, well, let's say it doesn't always point due north. They might be criminals, sure, but they've got their own code. Maybe they're trying to protect their family, maybe they're seeking revenge, or maybe they're just trying to climb the criminal ladder. Whatever their motivation, these characters are complex, flawed, and far from your typical video game heroes. The beauty of these anti-heroes is that they make the story more interesting. You're not just saving the world because it's the right thing to do. You're navigating a morally gray area, making tough choices, and sometimes doing bad things for what you think are good reasons. It's this complexity that makes GTA stories so engaging and often surprisingly thought-provoking. Multiple playable characters. GTA 4 dipped its toes into this with its expansions, but GTA 5 dove in head first. Instead of just one protagonist, you got 3 for the price of 1. Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. It's like having 3 different flavors of chaos to choose from. This trope isn't just about giving you options for who to play as. It's about telling a richer, more complex story. Each character brings their own perspective, their own skills, and their own baggage to the table. You're not just seeing the story from one angle, you're getting the whole panoramic view. And let's talk about gameplay for a sec. Having multiple characters means you can tackle missions in different ways. Maybe you need Franklin's driving skills for a getaway, or Trevor's, unique brand of problem-solving for a tough fight. It adds a layer of strategy to the mayhem. GTA 6 will have multiple protagonists too. Satire of Society. If you've ever played a GTA game and thought, wow, this feels a little too real, congratulations! You've just experienced Rockstar's biting satire. These games aren't just about stealing cars and running from cops. They're a funhouse mirror held up to our society, reflecting our world back at us in all its absurd glory. From the fake ads on the radio to the exaggerated characters you meet, everything in GTA is cranked up to 11. Politicians are cartoonishly corrupt, celebrities are vapid to the point of parody, and corporations are comically evil. It's like they took every headline from Florida Man and turned it into a game world. But here's the clever bit. While you're laughing at the over-the-top satire, you might just find yourself thinking about the real-world issues they're poking fun at. Wanted level system. Ah, the wanted level. Those little stars at the corner of your screen that go from, oops, maybe I shouldn't have done that, to, oh god, the entire military is after me, in no time flat. It's a GTA staple that's been there since the beginning. The beauty of this system is in its simplicity and escalation. Punch a random pedestrian? You might get a single star and a couple of beat cops after you. Start blowing up tanks in the middle of downtown? Well, buddy, you'd better be ready for a small army to rain down on you. This system does more than just add challenge. It creates some of those classic GTA moments we all love. You know, those times when you're just trying to get to the next mission, but suddenly you're in an impromptu high-speed chase across the entire city because you accidentally clipped a police car. The wanted level system is also a playground for player creativity. How long can you survive at 5 stars? Can you lose the cops in the subway tunnels? What if you lead them on a chase to the top of the highest building and then parachute off? It turns the whole city into your playground, and every police officer into an unwitting participant in your shenanigans. Vehicles. Vehicle variety in GTA games is like having a massive toy box filled with every kind of ride you can imagine. It's not just about cars. We're talking motorcycles, boats, planes, and even the occasional tank or submarine. GTA 5 took this to a whole new level with around 265 different vehicles at launch, and they kept adding more with updates. What I love about this is how it lets you experience the game world in so many ways. Cruising down the beach in a dune buggy feels totally different from weaving through traffic on a sport bike. And let's not forget the fun of customizing these vehicles. Since GTA, San Andreas, you've been able to trick out your rides, making them truly feel like your own. It's this attention to detail that makes stealing cars in GTA way more fun than it probably should be. Side missions. Side activities are the secret sauce that keeps you hooked long after you finish the main story. These mini-games and odd jobs add depth to the world and give you a break from all the chaos. Take taxi driving, for example. It's been a staple since GTA 3, and it's oddly relaxing to just drive around picking up fares. Then there's the vigilante missions, where you play cop and chase down criminals. My personal favorite is the firefighter missions. There's something satisfying about being the hero for once in a GTA game. GTA 5 even added yoga and tennis to the mix, which was a bit weird but kind of fun. These activities make the game world feel more alive and give you the sense that you're not just a character in a story, but part of a living, breathing city. Gang wars. Gang rivalries have been at the heart of GTA since the beginning, but they really came into their own in GTA San Andreas. The whole game revolved around gang warfare, with you taking back territory street by street. It was addictive stuff. GTA 5 took a different approach, focusing more on heists and the relationships between the three main characters. But the gang element was still there, especially with Franklin's story. What I find interesting is how these rivalries often mirror real-world issues of turf wars and urban violence, but with that signature GTA satirical twist. It adds a layer of social commentary to the games, even if it's often over the top and exaggerated. Radio stations. Radio stations in GTA are like characters in their own right. They do so much more than just provide a soundtrack. They help build the world and often deliver some of the game's best jokes. Did you know that GTA 5 was actually the first game in the series to feature an original score? Before that, it was all licensed music. But the licensed tracks are still a huge part of the experience. I mean, who can forget cruising down the beach in Vice City listening to Billie Jean? The talk radio stations are where GTA's satire really shines. They tackle everything from politics to pop culture, often in hilariously absurd ways. My favorite has to be WCTR from San Andreas. The shows on that station still crack me up. The radio also changes as you progress through the story, which is a neat touch that makes the world feel dynamic. It's crazy to think how much work goes into creating these stations. GTA 5 had over 240 licensed songs across 15 stations, plus 2 talk radio stations. That's more effort than some games put into their entire soundtracks. Dark humor. Dark humor is like the secret sauce that makes GTA what it is. It's not just about the jokes, it's the whole vibe of the games. They take our world and crank everything up to 11, making fun of pretty much everything along the way. Think about the billboards you see while driving around Los Santos in GTA 5. There's one for a perfume called Le Chien that says, "Smell like a bitch." It's crude, yeah, but it's also poking fun at how ridiculous some real-world ads can be. The radio stations are goldmines for this stuff too. I remember in GTA 4 there was this ad for a cleaning product called Eugenics that promised to clean the gene pool. It's super dark, but it's also satirizing how companies try to sell us stuff we don't need. What I find fascinating about GTA's humor is how it manages to be offensive to pretty much everyone equally. No one's safe from the game's mockery. Politicians, celebrities, regular folks, everyone gets roasted. It's like holding up a funhouse mirror to our society, showing us how absurd a lot of things really are. Some people might find it too much, and I get that. But for me, it's part of what makes these games special. They're not afraid to push buttons and make you think, even if you're laughing uncomfortably while they do it. Corruption. Corruption is another big theme in GTA. And man, do these games run with it. It's not just a few bad apples. In the GTA world, the whole system seems rotten to the core. Take GTA 4, for example. Niko Bellic can't sneeze without running into a corrupt cop or a sleazy politician. There's this one character, Francis McReary, who's supposed to be this upstanding police officer, but he's got Niko doing all sorts of illegal stuff to cover up his own crimes. It's pretty bleak when you think about it. GTA 5 takes it even further with the FIB, their version of the FBI, and its rival agency, the IAA. These guys are supposed to be protecting the country, but they're more interested in padding their budgets and settling personal scores. It's like a cynical take on all those spy movies where the good guys always win. In GTA, there aren't really any good guys, just different flavors of bad. What I find interesting is how this theme of corruption often ties into the main story. The protagonists are usually small-time crooks who get caught up in much bigger, dirtier games run by the people in power. It's like the games are saying, yeah, our main characters are criminals, but look at what the respectable folks are up to. Violence. Violence and gore have been part of GTA's DNA from the start, but it's interesting to see how it's evolved over the years. The early games were pretty over the top with it. I mean, in the original top-down games, you'd see little pixelated blood splatters when you ran someone over. It was cartoonish, but it still caused quite a stir back in the day. GTA 3 was when things started getting more realistic, and that's when the controversy really kicked into high gear. Suddenly you could see pedestrians flying over your car in ragdoll physics, or watch someone slump to the ground after being shot. It was shocking for its time, and honestly, it still can be pretty intense. But here's the thing. As graphics have gotten better, GTA has actually toned down the gore a bit. GTA 5 is probably less graphically violent than GTA 4 was. Don't get me wrong, it's still plenty violent, but it feels less gratuitous somehow. Maybe it's because the better graphics make everything feel more real, so they don't need to go as over the top to have an impact. What I find interesting is how the series uses violence. Yeah, there's the random mayhem you can cause just messing around. But in the story missions, violence usually has consequences. Characters who live by the sword tend to die by it. It's not glorifying violence so much as showing it as part of this dark, dangerous world. Betrayal. Betrayal and revenge are like the bread and butter of GTA storylines. These games love to set up complex webs of loyalty and then gleefully tear them apart. Take GTA 4, for example. Poor Niko Bellic comes to America chasing the American dream, only to get caught up in a mess of backstabbing and revenge. The whole game is basically him trying to find the guy who betrayed his unit back in the war. And just when you think he's got it figured out, bam! More betrayal. GTA 5 cranks this up to 11 with its 3 protagonists. Michael, Franklin, and Trevor's relationships are a constant dance of trust and betrayal. Remember how Michael's supposed to be in witness protection because he ratted out his old crew? And then Trevor, his old partner, shows up. Man, the tension in those scenes was thick enough to cut with a knife. What I find interesting is how these themes often drive the entire plot. It's not just about getting rich or powerful, it's personal. These characters are always trying to settle old scores or prevent themselves from being double-crossed. It makes for some great drama, but it also paints a pretty cynical picture of loyalty in the criminal underworld. In GTA, it seems like everyone's just waiting for their chance to stab you in the back. Locations. Recurring locations are a big part of what gives the GTA series its cohesive feel. Liberty City, Vice City, and San Andreas aren't just backdrops. They're characters in their own right. Each city has its own vibe, its own culture, its own quirks. Liberty City, based on New York, has shown up in GTA 3, GTA 4, and several other titles. It's always this gritty, tough place full of stark contrasts between rich and poor. Vice City, inspired by Miami, has only been the star of the show once, in the aptly named GTA Vice City. But what an impression it made. All neon lights and 80s excess. Fans have been clamoring for a return to Vice City for years. San Andreas is interesting because it's changed over time. In GTA, San Andreas, it was a whole state with 3 cities. But in GTA 5, San Andreas is the state, and Los Santos, the LA-inspired city, is the focus. The attention to detail in recreating these cities is insane. I remember the first time I drove down Vinewood Boulevard in GTA 5. It felt just like cruising down the real Hollywood Boulevard. What I love about these recurring locations is how they let Rockstar build this consistent universe. You'll hear references to events in Liberty City while playing in Los Santos, or catch a news report about something happening in Vice City. It makes the world feel bigger than just the game you're playing. Cheat codes. Cheats have been a part of GTA since the beginning, and they're part of what makes these games so much fun to mess around in. Who hasn't spawned a tank in the middle of downtown and gone on a rampage? In the early days, cheats were these cryptic button combinations you had to enter. Now, in GTA 5, you dial them in on your in-game phone, which is a neat touch. What's cool about GTA cheats is how they let you break the game in fun ways. Want to make all the cars fly? There's a cheat for that. Want to lower your wanted level after causing chaos? Cheat code to the rescue. Some of my favorites are the wacky ones, like the low-gravity cheat in San Andreas that made everything feel like it was on the moon. Easter eggs. Easter eggs in GTA games are like a whole subculture unto themselves. Rockstar loves hiding little secrets and references throughout their games. Some are pretty obvious, like the Vinewood sign being a clear nod to the Hollywood sign. Others are way more obscure. Remember the whole Mount Chiliad mystery in GTA 5? Players spent years trying to unravel that one. Heists. Heists became a huge part of GTA with GTA 5. and they really change the game. These big, multi-part missions feel like you're playing through your own crime movie. The planning, the setup, the execution. It's all so well done. I remember the first time I played the jewelry store heist in GTA 5. Choosing your approach, picking your crew, and then pulling it off, or hilariously messing it up, was incredibly satisfying. GTA Online took heists to a whole new level, making them these huge cooperative events. Getting a good crew together and pulling off a complex heist is some of the most fun you can have in multiplayer gaming, in my opinion. That marks the end. Subscribe to the channel and check out other videos on the... I'll meet in the next one. Till then, have a nice day.